David Benavidez, is he potentially weight drained? Ego Weight Watchers, we got to take a look at it ahead of his upcoming fight with David Morrell. All I know is this Saturday, a David will win. Now, okay, y'all. Now, I watched David Benavidez. I watched the Grand Arrivals / Media Day, right? And I've been on record with what I believe will be the winners, except for the main event. I picked Pitbull. I think he'll bounce back. He's not in there with the Rayo. He has a lot of big fight opportunities. As far as the Figueroa Cool Boy Fulton, I'm picking Brandon Figueroa for those who are asking. The main event, that's where it gets tricky because I respect the out of this fight. And this is great for boxing. This is truly what boxing needs. And I've never officially done a prediction for this particular fight. I told everybody who's asked me that this is really a 50-50 pick'em fight. Some people are going to lean towards Benavidez, experience, volume, power, aggression, been in the bigger fights, had the bigger moments, way more fights. And he also has a lot to want to win for, right? Because Canelo, if he gets past Morel, that would be a huge statement. As far as David Morrell, he's young, he's spry. I did an Ego Weight Watcher video on him specifically, and he looks like he's in the best shape that I've seen him in his pro career. The other thing that many people don't know is David Morrell fought in the amateurs over 175 pounds. See, that's why y'all turn to Boxing Ego for the boxing news, conversations. I am the best in the business, and it's not even close. I don't think anybody of note in YouTube has really revealed that Morel had fights prior to being a pro in the 170s in terms of weight. Now, that being said, I do think this is an amazing fight, an excellent fight, a pick'em fight, and I'm really just tuning in as a fan. I will be doing the watch party. So it's only right that I make this video, and the time is now to talk about David Benavidez. Is he weight drained? In a video like this, I would be remiss to not talk about my observations. I did it for Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, because when you have a great fight like this, or David Benavidez, Morel, it's already tough enough to pick by itself. So a lot of times in fights like this at the elite level, the difference maker will be these little nuanced things where if a guy has a better game plan, if a guy ran the extra miles, if the guy had a better weight cut, these are the deciding and separating factors in a lot of these high profile fights. Like, who wants it more? Who trained just a little bit harder? Again, who had the proper weight cut? Because in all fairness, looking at David Benavidez, when he started camp, like when he did the promo stuff, he looked pretty soft. He moved to Miami with his family and he just looked softer and doughy. Now, I do understand, I've been a David Benavidez fan. He's not Anthony Joshua. Like, that's not really his deal to necessarily be quote unquote body beautiful, but he did look considerably heavier than he has recently. So when I'm looking at this Grand Arrival, his face, you didn't really see it when he was just doing the media workout, but when he was doing some of the personals and the media scrum interviews, you look at his face, and I did see that his face was a bit drawn out and a bit ghastly, and you could see the indentations and stuff, which lets me know that he's enduring his cut. Now, will this mean anything on fight night? I don't know, but it is something to note, because when I'm looking at David Morrell, and in this video, I'll probably do a side-by-side, Morel's face looks fuller, and he too is doing a cut, and they're about the same height for real. So that could be, something early on in the fight, if somebody, or even late in the fight, if David Benavidez truly did have a bigger cut and have to cut massive amounts of weight, because again, it did look like he was pretty big to start camp. And at this point, from what I've seen of David Benavidez and David Morrell, he looks big, but he looks like lean and vascular and pretty muscular, and his face don't look as like punched in as David Benavidez. Benavidez is a veteran. He's been here before. He's had opportunities where I think he missed weight before. Actually, he did during the Rona 19 days. He missed weight. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention on Friday to that scale, because Morel, he looks lean and muscular, but he still has to hit that 175 mark. And David Benavidez, he looks like this weight cut is, you know, I'm not gonna say whooping him, but it's to me, it's apparent that he had a pretty extreme cut. For example, when Frank Martin fought Gervonta Davis, like, it looked crazy. He looked crazy on the scale. So I don't know how PBC is gonna do it, if they're doing a ceremonial weigh-in in the daytime, which would benefit Benavidez, because by the time they do a later weigh-in, if that's how they run it, if they do a ceremonial, that's better for Benavidez, in my opinion, right? The ceremonial weigh-in is like behind closed doors, no real bunch of media, no fans for sure. And they do it like 8 in the morning. The guys get to go home or go to their hotel rooms, eat some oatmeal, eat some eggs, replenish, rehydrate at these weight classes, because they're not heavyweights. And then they have to come back for a noon or 1 p.m. weigh-in, which is just for show at this point, because they've already had their weights measured and recorded and announced. So it's just for the photo ops and the fans to get excited and a face-off and things like that. So that will be interesting to see how PBC runs it. I will check my email to see the time. I don't know if they're doing a ceremonial weigh-in, but David Benavidez, he did look like he had to cut a bunch of weight. So I'll be curious to see if David Benavidez hits the number, if it's a non-ceremonial weigh-in and he just has to hit the weight on the scale live. I'll be interested to see if he is able to do that the first attempt, because he does look a little bit drawn out, in my opinion. And I'm not saying this to alarm y'all. I'm just telling you from my experience and what I've seen. I've been doing the Ego Weight Watchers for many moons. I've covered a lot of fights. I'm pretty good with the eye test, and you know, it is what it is. And it wouldn't be fair, like I said, to talk about the weight for Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis and how they're looking on fight week, and Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. But then for this mega fight, where again, these little differences could be the deciding factor on who wins, I gotta address it, and I gotta talk about it as well, no matter who the fighter is. So big fan of both Benavidez and Morel. I still don't know who I'm picking. I doubt that I'll do a prediction video because I'm extremely busy, and I kind of just want to watch it as a fan, to be honest. But I'll definitely be tapped into the fight and on Friday on that scale to see how both fighters look, because it was Wednesday and David Benavidez already looked, you know, a little bit weathered from the weight cut. So for more boxing, for the watch party, subscribe.